Welcome to Stitches in Time, the podcast discussing Doctor Who the way it was meant to be watched, in chronological order, one clip at a time, starting at the Big Bang and ending with the heat death of the universe. I'm Becca, the Matrix Archivist, and I spent the last 12 years of my life meticulously editing the entire televised Doctor Who universe into chronological order.
And I'm Mandy, and I was really excited to join you for this beach episode, but actually I'm healing a tattoo right now, and so I'm not actually allowed in the primordial ocean. It can, cause infection.
Yeah, that's good. Yeah, keep that out of the sun. Keep it out of the sun and sand. And also, we have a very special guest on the podcast today. She played the Doctor for 3 seasons on the TTRPG podcast, The Game of Rassilon, before taking over as the Game Missy. She's published 3 Star Wars books and has written for Nerdist, Sci-Fi, and D&D Beyond. She's interviewed 4 different Doctors and was seen running away in the TARDIS with River Song. It's Riley Silverman.
Hello.
Welcome to the podcast.
Hello, happy to be here. Mandy, I think they don't let you swim in the primordial oceans when you have a tattoo because they're afraid that your hotness will then create a new reality where everyone's too hot. They're like, no, it's just everyone's too cool, so now what's our level of what is cool?
That checks out.
I mean, I don't want to slut shame a fish. I don't want to hot or not a fish.
Yeah.
I think it's okay. When the stake of the hotness of the human race, and indeed all life on Earth, is at stake.
Yeah.
I just don't know how to grade a fish. It might have been a very hot fish.
That's true. That's
I'm not a good bellwether for fish.
But even if you put a hot thing, if it's hot water and you add something hotter to it, you typically get a boiling situation. So even if that fish was really hot for fish, you throw a tattooed Mandy in there, and it's fuck. Now we all have to be a lot hotter now, and it's just evolution. It's instead of the butterfly effect, it's the butterfly tramp stamp effect.
Time travel's greatest danger, really.
Yeah, you don't want anyone in the past to see your tramp stamp, or else the future could be affected in unknown, chaotic ways. I should point out, Mandy's new tattoo was way cooler than a butterfly tramp stamp. I just want to point out Mandy has a really awesome hot tattoo.
A way to spoil my next tattoo, Riley.
It's just a butterfly with or maybe you should get a fish and just with the words "Stitches in Time," a Doctor Who podcast.
Yeah,
get a fish and write the word "hot?" ?
I really hate that the tramp stamp was, particularly for the 90s and early 2000s, became such a tramp stamp signifier, because it's a good placement. It's a good place to put shit.
Yeah.
It's true.
There was a comic when I was first starting out in comedy who had a lower back tattoo because he got it before that became known for that, and he was just yeah, I just thought it was a cool way to have a tattoo, and then he became the dude that had a tramp stamp. It was yeah, it's a good spot. Yeah, it's from what I understand, it's not too painful to get a tattoo there, and it's pretty conveniently located for different reasons. And it was an era where everyone was wearing a lot of lowrider jeans, so it was people were gonna see it.
Good to show it off, because it kind of sucks. I have the tattoo that I did get was on my thigh, and people ask me "Oh, what did you do over the weekend?" But something really exciting, and I can't show you. You cannot see it. I will immediately go to HR if I show this to you.
Incredible. Yes, so for our listeners, we are today discussing The Lie of the Land.
The beach episode.
It's the beach episode. Everyone remembers the beach episode, right? And no, this is not the beach episode that we talked about where the Grand Serpent gets eaten by a giant sea monster of some sort. This is the fish crawling out of the ocean onto land for the first time.
And it's nice because, a while back we saw the ocean, and so it's nice that there's hey, let's check back in on the ocean. How's that going? Oh, stuff's coming out of it now. It's great that they're kind of following up with that, because I was wondering.
Yeah, we love to see it, and it's
nice to have a payoff for how many episodes was that? 4 or 5 episodes. It's a great payoff later.
Millions of years have gone by.
That's true.
But here's the big question about this episode, this segment, is this even actually happening? Because this is the episode where it's the monks, and it literally the lie of the land is that like the monks have been here since the beginning. They haven't actually been here, but the Doctor is talking about them as if they have been to like sell their lie. But this scene is, this hot or not fish coming out of the water, and there's a monk there. But like, did that? I mean, we know the fish came out of the water at some point in history because of like science and stuff. But like, this actual shot is a lie, right?
It is a lie. That's right. Yes, this is I think the first time that I've put something in here that is like representative of something that happened without actually being like necessarily the actual canonical truth, because we had this is the second time we've talked about the lie of the land, and the first one was a shot from earlier in the propaganda video where there were these two cells dividing in the ocean, but there weren't any monks in that shot. So it was like, well, yeah, this is from a propaganda video, but it happens to be the actual truth. And now we're seeing the monks in this sort of false reality, or that they have like created through propaganda and memory control.
I gotta say, y'all are talking about some monks and some propaganda, and I think maybe it's a situation where you were watching this incorrectly, and now there's some information that's not presented to you. Because if you're watching it in the order that Becca showed, then this is just my buddy Pete telling me about some fish coming out of the water. I assume that like his later subscription to, was it Zoo Books? It was a little magazine, like the Scholastic magazine that comes out and they tell you about different animals. He's just reading that to us. That's what's happening. If you watch the show right, that's what happens.
Exactly.
That was your Mandy splain for the day.
I'm very, very proud. Also, now I really want a nature documentary series that's voiced by Peter Capaldi. Like, I want him to be the new, like, Richard Attenborough, and just, like, or is it David Attenborough? Yeah. Whichever one does the name. There's one makes dinosaurs and one makes nature documentaries, and I want the one that makes nature documentaries, who I don't think it lives anymore. I think I want him to be doing it. I want Peter Capaldi to do that now.
Yeah. Well, clearly there's a spot open now that with Trevor. I think it's David Attenborough is the nature guy.
Yeah, I think Richard is John Hammond. Yeah. Also, David Attenborough then also did the voices for the Apple TV Dinosaurs documentary series. That's like a fake nature documentary about dinosaurs. So the whole thing really kind of comes back around. That dinosaur's eating its own tail at this point.
Oh, my little sister was obsessed with those. It's that or something else, but I know it was like a dinosaur documentary, but it was like a nature series. We had it on DVD. She was all over it.
Nice.
That's amazing. I don't have a lot to talk about because this is just a 5-second clip that we're talking about today. But also, that's been most of the episodes of the podcast so far. So, but we do get this fish, and we see, I guess, the foot of a monk standing on the shore waiting for it. Or I'm sorry, Mandy. A foot of some entity is waiting to sort of usher it onto land into the next phase of evolution.
I'm going to be honest with y'all. I assume that this was kind of a Game of Thrones coffee cup situation. Or they thought they would be cropping that scene, and apparently not. We'll screen that foot out later.
I see. That's just some PA that's like standing in front of the camera.
Yeah, holding the boom mic to the fish.
Yeah.
In case like the fish had something it wanted to say. It didn't.
Right.
But it's always nice to be prepared for that. Like that's how you capture the right moments. You have to always be prepared. And sometimes it doesn't work out. Sometimes the fish doesn't say anything. They don't know language yet, I guess.
Yeah. I mean, like, speaking of like creating, nature documentaries, like the way that you make a documentary is, obviously you're going to roll sound on everything in case something is usable. And like, obviously a fish crawling onto land for the first time. It's a big moment in Earth's history. it is sort of like the one small step for man, one giant leap for mankind. Like, you expect kind of a pithy little 1 or 2 sentence speech.
I mean, it's great. It's great that they found Peter Capaldi there to just kind of narrate. Like, he was just already hanging out on the beach. I also don't know if he's supposed to be the doctor. He could be the doctor. He could be the guy from Pompeii. As far as I'm aware, that's just Peter Capaldi.
Now, what guy from Pompeii are you talking about? I don't...
Nobody knows.
What's Pompeii? That doesn't even exist. No.
Yeah.
Sorry, I was having an aneurysm. It won't happen again.
That is an unfortunate side effect of this podcast. We still have not seen Peter Capaldi on screen yet, and I don't think we're going to for a while. So
seems not to like the past. Gotta stay in the present.
I mean, this is pretty far in the past, but yeah.
When he went to the past, there was a lot of stuff happened with a volcano, and he's like, nope, never going that far back again. Nope, nope.
I do like the idea that, like, maybe Peter Capaldi in that role was, like, fob-watched into human form at that point or something, you know, like, just...
Yeah, that's fair.
Yeah.
I mean, it's also, and now we're talking about a different episode, which also happens quite a lot, where we end up just talking about something else.
There's not a lot to talk about here otherwise, so. And it may not have happened, so.
For all we know, because of the way that, like, the doctors work, is like, the doctors don't know what their future incarnations could be, so it could absolutely be David Tennant is, like, saving this guy in Pompeii, and then years later, it's like, oh shit, I'm the guy, but I can't let him know that I'm the guy. So I have to yes and this situation, because he doesn't know yet that we're the same guy, and I don't actually need him to help me.
That is true. I mean, I think River Song probably does that a lot because of all the time traveling madness of, you know, just. I mean, I think she says even at the end of Series 6, she says something along those lines of, like, yeah, it was really hard pretending I didn't know that the doctor wasn't gonna die on that beach. Speaking of beach episodes, or, like, pretending I didn't know that Amy was my mom and stuff like that.
She was fish. She was the fish.
Well, hang on. You're blowing my mind right now, Mandy.
And that makes sense, because we had that whole hello, sweetie, on the planet where nobody knew English. Yeah. And now, come back, it's fish the whole time. Hot fish did happen. Hot fish confirmed.
That hot fish was Alex Kingston.
This is my sequel to Catfish.
Yeah. We don't know what River Song's regeneration looked like in between the goo baby and the small child that was wandering the streets of America in the 1960s. So True. perhaps there was a hot fish phase.
Yeah, I mean, if you're gonna be a goo baby, then I mean, so long as you're not a goo baby the next time. I think I'm just very anti goo baby.
Yeah.
So just be something else. And fish. Hot fish with legs, with kind of legs, so you can kind of crawl out because you decide that you're a little indecisive. You want to be a little amphibious this time.
Mm-hmm. I feel like River Song has a definitely, like, in all of her incarnations, prioritizes good legs.
Yeah, 100%. Hot fish with legs. HOTTLEG. I can't do that. I added an extra T that shouldn't have been there. The idea
you would have had it if you just hadn't added an extra T.
Yeah. HOTFISHWIT. Yeah. By the way, the most this is not on topic at all, but the most stereotypically fun, like, queer moment yesterday. We were in a pool yesterday. Becca and I were there at a pool party, and someone had put a playlist of Chappell Roan songs on, and there's, like, a whole crew of women doing the hot to go dance, and, like, a straight cis dude walks up and literally, like a sitcom character. I was like, so who is this? Who's Chappell Roan? And it was just like, exactly, sir. Exactly. You just walk away. This is not for you.
I was at a different queer event, and we had to, because it was a pole event. We were all performing, and we had to do a limit on how many chaperone songs we could have.
Yeah,
It was
fair.
decided. I did it last year, so somebody else could do it this year, and then we had one the year before. So we've done Pink Pony Club, we've done Red Wine Supernova. This time we did my Kink is Karma. Who knows what we're gonna get next year?
Maybe a whole new album by that point. Who knows?
Fingers crossed.
Yeah, legs crossed. What?
Wait, Riley, do you like women?
A little bit.
For those of you listening to the podcast, Riley is, as she is frequently, adorned in lesbian pride flags.
Currently on my wrist right now. On my wrist. Yeah. My hair's not quite as lesbian pridey as it was. Now it's more just orange. I might add some more pink when I get a chance, but for now it's just orange hair. It's much more Wendy's than it is lesbian.
Queer icon Wendy. I like that a lot. I do have, so I have one piece of research from this episode, which is this fish does have a name. I should say this incarnation of River Song does have a name. That is not, because like sometimes when River Song regenerates, she'll go by like Mel's or all this stuff. So according to
Melody
the internet,
Pond, Melissa Phoenix, yeah, totally.
Mm-hmm. There's a it's called this fish in paleobiology and paleontology terms is known as Tiktaalik, which seems to me like it's just for memes, for TikTok, because it's just.
Yeah.
I was getting ready to say Tiktaalik was banned by the government.
Can I give you my well, you were just talking about River Song names. I was like, what would be a different River Song name that fits the same, like similar to I don't think either of y'all were Homestucks, so you don't know the Homestuck rule for naming. But there used to be a Homestuck rule for naming, and that was a thing of whenever you come up with a name, it's like, oh, this fits Homestuck rules for names. So River Song rules for names. It has to include something for water and something for song. And so I got Swamp Rap. Swamp Rap.
Love it.
I really like Swamp Rap.
And that is Homestuck rules, but it is also Doctor Who rules, because that was like, she was Melody Pond, and they were like, oh well, there's no river in the forest, or the only water in the forest is the river, so it's like River Song. It's like, it's exactly that. Yeah, it's totally, yeah.
Swamp Rap.
And then I broke it when I made Melissa Phoenix, but it was also it was also, the name itself was a pun, so.
Wait, what is Melissa Phoenix?
That's it's from the podcast series Game of Rassilon, and it's a character that is River Song, but her name is Melissa Phoenix because it's Mel is a phoenix.
That we've definitely listened to back in.
Yeah, of course. Yeah, of course. I can tell by this conversation that yeah.
Yeah, of course.
You two are very familiar with the podcast Game of Rassilon, right? Yeah.
You've been on the Game of Rassilon. Please don't ask me questions about it.
I've never heard of it. I just.
Mandy, as we well know, you ask us questions about Game of Rassilon.
Yeah. That's how it goes.
So yeah, Becca, I had a character named Melissa Phoenix, and that was like the big reveal of her, that she was actually a future incarnation of River Song, like a post-library River Song.
Oh, cool.
And so her name was Melissa with only one S, and so it actually spelled out Mel is a Phoenix. And cute. I purposely didn't give her a music water name because I didn't want to give the reveal away that early in the story. But
sure.
Yeah.
As I feel like I think River Song also would not want to give that away that early in the story. Yeah. She's very enigmatic with all her.
She's a tease that way.
A little bit. Notes. Her hair's full of secrets.
Yeah.
My good personal friend, River Song, Alex Kingston, of course, as we know.
Yeah, so you did actually run off into the TARDIS with Alex Kingston. What was that like, Riley?
What do you? I think the question is right there, the answer is right there in the question. To quote Matt Smith that I saw Matt Smith on a panel at LA Comic-Con last year, and somebody asked him what it was like to ride a dragon on Game of Thrones, and he was like, "I think the question was answered right there. I think the answer was right there in the question. Like, what was it like to ride a dragon? I don't know. What do you think it was like to see yourself riding a dragon?" Yeah, it was the wildest thing because when we were there. So for those who've never been to Gallifrey 1, there is a TARDIS on the stage, and you can. Like, the guests can come through the TARDIS if they want to. And as an interviewer, I did it the first couple of times and then kind of like got that out of my system. It's kind of a hassle to do it. But guests who are new, it's their first time there, they always seem to want to do it. And Alex was immediately like, yes, please. So she did it. So then we did the interview and it went really well, I think. And then when it was done, we were leaving the stage and she wanted to go back through it. And she like grabbed me by the arm and was like, come with me. And she like took me with her. And then the thing is like, the problem with it is like if the front door and the back door are open, then you can see straight through to the backstage. So the way that it has to work is we have to go in, close the door, and then wait for the stage managers to then open the back door so we can get out. So I had like a 15-second or so pause inside the TARDIS with Alex Kingston, and it was just like this moment of like my brain being like, I cannot believe this is happening, like catching up what was going on or whatever. And people who were my friends that were in the audience when it happened said like they could physically see me go to like a special place in my brain when I realized that Alex was inviting me into the TARDIS with her. Like they said, you could like literally see my body structure just like melt a little bit as it happened.
Amazing. And I really like knowing that detail of the TARDIS at Galley, because it reminds me of the end of time, the glass thing that Wilford gets stuck in. Just like, only one of these doors can be open at a time. I'm sorry.
Yeah. Well, if you go out of the TARDIS too soon, the entire room gets irradiated and everybody else dies. So you have to be the one who takes all the radiation inside the TARDIS. I'm
really surprised that that hasn't been an issue at Galley.
Real careful. So this was technically this was kind of our second beach episode because we saw the ocean before, and now we're actually on the beach. When do they get out like the beach balls and the big watermelon that they hit with a stick and all of the rest of the that's what I'm kind of waiting for now.
Sure, yeah, it's going to be several billion years, unfortunately, before any
watermelon exists.
Basically, yeah.
Customs won't let you bring fruit from the future to a different time period because it might contaminate.
Is that what the Time Lords are? They're just the customs people for time travel?
That's what the time agents are. They're actually just booth agents, and their whole job is to be like, anything to declare? Are you bringing any technology?
Jack Harkness describes himself as a rogue time agent just to seem really cool, but it's just like, it just means he quit his toll attendant job. Amazing. I don't have anything else for this episode other than the fish has a name and it's Tiktaalik. And it was discovered in Canada, actually.
Ooh.
So all of this is happening in Canada.
Yep. Yes.
I don't know what the beaches are like in Canada. That really reframes everything. I was expecting somewhere a lot nicer than Canada.
Oh yeah, no, and going by the spelling they have, it looks like it might be like an Inuit word or something, because there's like 2 A's in a row in the, and so it's oh wait, hang on, here we go. Ellesmere Island in Nunavut, Canada, which looks like about the most northern part of Canada that exists.
So it's cold.
I think you're right.
This whole time is cold. That we were worried about hot fish. We should have been concerned about cold fish. That fish is freezing. No wonder that fish wanted out of the water. It's cold in there. I think they're still cold-blooded. It must have loved the sun. Oh, it would have had the best time. Like, oh, it's warm out here. It is slightly warmer. It's still Canada, so it's fucking freezing.
Hey, they got some French fries with gravy on them, though. Let's go hang out there.
Yeah.
Who was that wearing a sandal in Canada.
It's the PA.
They did not pick their outfit correctly.
Yeah.
And they learned that lesson. They're going to take that lesson with them. They aren't going to take their toes. Their toes are gone, but the memory remains.
The toes are gone, but the lesson is learned.
You only got 10 lessons, is what I know.
I mean, I think every episode of this podcast we're learning a very valuable lesson.
And losing a toe.
Unfortunately, yeah. And as this is episode 11, I'm out. So somebody else.
It's okay. I'm a little polydactyl, or I was.
Okay.
It was great after episode 4. Like, I finally got a normal mount. I'm cured.
There are so many things I'm realizing I don't know about Mandy. That's also true of every episode.
That she lies a lot.
I feel like we know that.
Yeah.
That's the lie of the land, the lie of the Mandy.
Rule 1, the Mandy lies.
The Mandys have been here since the beginning.
They ushered us into, wait.
It was hilarious to me how short this clip was, just because like I had that kind of ADHD where I'm like, wait, did I miss it? Because I was watching the clip that was beforehand, and then I had to, because it was like, previously, as you all know from time, of course, the only beings that were there before this were the first Doctor and Ian and Barbara, and then suddenly there was Peter Capaldi and a fish and a foot. And then I was like, wait, did I? Oh, and then I had to go back and like do it again. And that may have happened 3 or 4 times before I finally actually got to watch the clip. Because I would always go back a little too far and look at my phone, and then I missed it again.
That 10-second fast forward will really mess you up.
Yeah.
It's a problem.
When you have a 7-second clip to watch.
It would have been way worse to have to go into the episode and find the time code in the episode where this happened. So
actually, it probably wouldn't, because it's right at the beginning of the episode.
Yeah.
But then you'd watch the episode, and then that's just wrong.
You're risking spoilers.
Immoral, and you would go to hell.
Oh, Riley, also we should have mentioned, this is a Christianity and religion podcast.
Oh,
yeah, because we are ordering it in time, like we have like BC and AD, so it's according to the Christian calendar.
Yeah.
So this is Doctor Who according to the Christian God.
I guess that's better than if we were doing Doctor Who according to the Star Wars calendar and solve this happened in 4 billion BBY. Wait, what?
That'd be amazing.
This happened a long time ago. This happened a less long time ago. Galaxy approximate.
One of the things I always hope for in a Star Wars movie or something is like an episode 10, and it's like a medium time ago in a galaxy far away. It's like, oh, wait a minute.
Closer.
Are we approaching like a couple weeks ago in a galaxy far away?
Welcome to Middle Galaxy.
This planet's called the Shire. Interesting.
There was in the Ahsoka series, one of the main plot points was they left the galaxy that like most of the stories happened, and it went to a planet in a different galaxy. And I knew an obnoxious amount of people who thought it was going to be like, oh, they're going to come to the Milky Way, they're going to be in our galaxy now. And I was like, they're not going to do that. And I don't think they did do that, but it was just like, yeah, it was very much like a wait, guys, come on, that's not what they're trying to do here.
This is like the same type of fan, but in a different direction. I've heard people who complain about Star Trek holodeck episodes, and specifically their complaint is they're always referencing like human history and just like particularly things of like the 50s and just like old-timey stuff there, disregarding the fact that they're doing it entirely because we want to write a Western, we want to write a noir or something like that.
And we want to use public domain materials.
But they were like, oh, they should go into like Vulcan history, or they should go into another space thing, and be like, do you know how fucking convoluted that would be of an episode of we're going to explain the history of a different place and have a holodeck adventure based off of that?
We're going to go into the holodeck, but also the holodeck is going to be another spaceship that
Yeah,
Like, that's
we're gonna use the holodeck,
they-
the thing that only exists so we can use existing film sets to film episodes of the show instead of having to go do alien planet stuff. But then we're gonna use it to use an expensive alien planet set that we have to build.
like, I feel like if you have that episode is going to spend the first 30 minutes talking, just doing a setup for like, oh yeah, in this history of this species we do there, and then you spend 5 minutes in the holodeck, and then the rest of the time is doing a recap explanation of like, and that's why we do that. Like, if they want to do space shit and they want to show an alien, they just go to the place where the alien is, and they see a guy with an ear on his temple, and they're like, we're aliens. Time to have political conflict.
I love the idea that somebody who watches Star Trek and is like, hey, you know these types of episodes that are universally pretty polarizing and some people really hate them? What if we did more of them, but in ways that make even less sense?
Let's try and make one that exactly 0 people like.
Yeah.
It just seems like they want that because they want an episode of Star Trek where they're in space and be like, that's fair. That's fair if you don't like it. But I don't know, like, oh, let's make the holodeck episodes more like the other episodes, but just more convoluted, just more complicated.
And it's like, if you want to do a history of Vulcan episode, you would do a time travel storyline. What the heck?
Yeah.
Come on.
I really like that. When Mandy just said the phrase, it's Star Trek, but set in space. I was like, oh yeah, it's like the Brave Little Toaster Goes to Mars or whatever that was. It's just like, oh yeah, what if we took Star Trek, but we put it in space?
Yeah.
They're too busy with all the stars. And those seem really hot and dangerous, and that's why they're always having a bad time. Maybe they should go more into the space part where there's nothing.
Like that episode of Voyager where there's nothing in space.
Yeah.
That is funny because the holodeck very much clearly exists, especially in Next Generation, as a budgetary reason. And I think it's funny because, to bring it back to Doctor Who, it was very clear that the whole time window thing happened because someone was like, hey, we have access to a volume. We should use the volume for something. Like, that's very much what it felt like. It was like, oh, we can use a volume. Let's have a cool thing that utilizes the volume in a fun and interesting way. And I will say, it's like, Michael Nixon even said this, like, it was like one of the best uses of the volume because it intentionally made like use of the weirdness of what the space is like to play up that weird VHS quality of it.
That was a really cool effect. I like that a lot. I didn't realize that was the volume, but that makes sense.
Or like at least like that kind of technology. It wasn't definitely a volume. It was that kind of technology. But...
Right. Yeah. Yeah. It was really cool. Okay. I think somebody, not me, because I've got my hands full with Doctor Who, but in chronological order. But somebody needs to do a Star Trek edit where they're
in space.
But they're in space.
So
only a Star Trek where they're in space.
You just edited it so that all the characters are hovering a little bit because there's no gravity. You just spin them.
What I was gonna say was have all the holodeck stuff happen first, and then you could do what if we did Star Trek but in space? But this was all much better anyway. I don't know about you two, but I can feel my sanity slowly slipping away from me, which usually means it's about time to wrap up the episode, unless anyone else has any more thoughts about Tiktaalik or...
Can we do a vote on... We started off talking about hot or not fish. Can we... I feel like now, like I mean, technically, I've been told the fish's name. Please don't ask me to repeat it. But
sure.
We know more about the fish, so I want everyone to declare hot or not.
I'm gonna say hot because it's an Inuit.
You're a fish
Canadian
fucker.
Fish. Yeah, that part of it too. But I don't. Now that I know that it's like a fish from like a different culture, I'm afraid of like seeming like American eccentric if I say that it's not hot. So I'm gonna veer on the side of hot.
I'm gonna say not hot for exactly the same reason, just because I don't want to feel like I'm fetishizing another culture.
That's fair. That's fair.
You know, that kind of thing. So Mandy, you're the tiebreak.
I mean, speaking of fetishizing another culture, Riley, I'm gonna do the default lesbian joke, and I love fish tacos, so I'm voting hot.
Nice. Take it.
Well done. Well, thanks for listening, everyone.
I didn't realize the hot or not was a vote on how do we want this fish to be served to us. Like, do I want it in a taco? Do I want it in...
I'll take it frozen, please. That's how I consume all of my fish.
I want my fish as ceviche. Can I get some Canadian fish ceviche, please?
All right, bye, everyone. Thanks for listening to Stitches in Time. Music by Becca, the Matrix Archivist. Art by Mandy Okendo. Logo by Ben Padden. Did you know you can listen to this podcast with your eyeballs? Subscribe to us on YouTube.
I need to be clear that when Matt Smith wrote a dragon, the dragon wasn't there.
Well, that was the question. It was like you were
weird question. Be like, well, I didn't, so I wrote some cardboard and shit.
Well, okay. In defense of the question asker and Matt Smith, I abridged the question to tell the story. The actual question was basically like you were writing on a green screen, and then you got to see it later, and you could see yourself riding a dragon. What did it feel like to see yourself riding a dragon? And then that's when Matt Smith was like, how do you think it felt to see myself ride a dragon? It was very cool. Like,
how would you feel if you saw yourself riding a dragon?
Through its formative years, gently guiding.
I feel like now we have to talk about what is the sexiest fish.
I don't think we have to talk about that at all.
Swedish.
Oh, Swedish fish?